Hey guys, over the past 4 weeks, we've covered most of the Pyro main DPS team compositions. Now it is time for a guide on the Pyro main DPSs themselves. There are currently 4 Pyro main DPSs in the game: Diluc, Klee, Hu Tao, and Yanfei. Diluc begins the fight by using his elemental skill 3 times consecutively to gain the maximum set bonus of pyro damage from the 4 pieces of the Crimson Witch of Flames set. He then casts his burst to imbue his auto attacks with pyro. While his normal attacks are imbued with pyro, he can then alternate between his normal attack and his skill for the maximum damage output. When Diluc is paired with supports, such as Xingqiu, who trigger the Hydro application from normal attacks, his rotation changes. At the start of his rotation, Diluc should alternate between normal attacks and skill instead of 3 consecutive skill uses, as was described in the tutorial earlier. The Crimson Witch of Flame set reads that every use of a character's elemental skill increases their pyro damage bonus, stacking up to 3 times if used in quick succession. This is perfect for Diluc as he has 3 charges of his elemental skill and can thus gain the maximum pyro damage bonus easily. The added 15% melt and vaporize damage and 40% overload damage provided by the 4-piece set bonus is a significant damage increase. Diluc is a main DPS and uses attack percent as the main stat for his Sense artifact due to his high base attack. Given Diluc's ability to imbue his normal attacks with Pyro, a Pyro damage goblet is highly advised. Depending on your current crit rate, either a crit rate circlet or crit damage circlet is best. Generally, if your Diluc has less than 60% crit rate without including the stats of his circlet, he should use a crit rate circlet. If he has high crit rate without his circlet, then you may consider using a crit damage circlet instead. Being a main DPS, Diluc has the following substat priorities for his artifacts. Diluc should also use any weapon that provides the most increase in his damage. Popular weapon choices are shown here. Diluc uses all 3 of his talents in combat and is advised to level all 3 of them at once. However, his elemental skill and his burst do become more important once you have the Crimson Witch of Flames 4-piece set bonus. Now we will move on to Klee. Klee has a high damage output, but her damage comes in many rapid attacks. Her charge attack is the main source of her damage, and she can even generate energy when she crits with her charge attacks, meaning she does not require much energy recharge. Klee executes a couple of normal attacks to trigger her Pounding Surprise talent, which increases her skill and charge attack damage, plus removes the stamina cost, before finishing with a charge attack for a high damage AoE blast. In parties with a shield character, the Retracing Bolide 4-piece set bonus can be quite powerful with Klee. Klee's damage mostly comes from normal and charge attacks, and this set bonus adds 40% extra damage to that. I personally recommend that Klee be used in a party with shields, as she can find it difficult to dodge enemies after spending her stamina on charge attacks. That said, 4 pieces of the Crimson Witch set can also produce an equally strong Klee, for similar reasons as in Diluc's case earlier, mostly due to how it increases reaction damage. Klee's artifacts have similar main stat and substat priorities to Diluc. Being a Catalyst user, she deals only pyro damage, and should be using a pyro damage goblet. As her charge attacks generate energy on crit, it is advised she prioritize crit rate over crit damage, unless she already has a lot of crit rate. Klee should use any weapon that provides the most increase to her damage. Popular weapon choices are shown here. Klee's damage comes from her normal and charge attacks, thus her auto attack talent is the most important, followed by her burst talent, which triggers extra damage when she uses an auto attack. Next we will discuss Yanfei. I chose to discuss her before Hu Tao as she is quite similar to Klee. Yanfei's rotations revolve around using her normal attacks to gain stacks, and then using her charge attack when she has 3 stacks for maximum damage. Her skill and burst provide shortcuts to skip the stack generation stage, and should be used as a means to get out more charge attacks in a shorter period of time. In general, Yanfei's charge attack is the main source of her damage. When equipped with 4 pieces of the Retracing Bolide set, she gains 40% normal and charge attack damage bonus, which is the perfect set bonus for her. She can also use the Crimson Witch of Flames and Wanderer's Troop sets. Yanfei has the same main stat and substat priorities as Klee for her artifacts. She should also use any weapon that provides the most increase to her damage. Some popular weapon choices are shown here. Now we will move on to Hu Tao, whose damage scales with her HP. Hu Tao uses her skill to deal damage to herself and imbue her auto attacks with Pyro. When she has equal or less than 50% health, her damage bonus while her skill is active is increased. Hu Tao gains a pyro damage bonus when her health is below or equal to 50%. Hu Tao's burst deals more damage and heals more when it is cast while Hu Tao has equal or less than 50% health. The damage bonus, provided by Hu Tao's elemental skill, scales with the total amount of HP she has. This means that the more HP Hu Tao has, the more damage she will deal. Also, she should be kept below 50% health at all times, in order to benefit from the aforementioned bonuses. This also means that Hu Tao has poor synergy with healers and relies on shield characters for protection. For her rotation, start with Hu Tao's skill before charge attacking enemies. When in need of healing, or planning to deal high Pyro AoE damage, use Hu Tao's burst. When Hu Tao's elemental skill ends, she gives the other party members increased crit rate, and this should be treated as a good opportunity to use your supports to set up Hu Tao's next rotation of Pyro reactions. As Hu Tao imbues her auto attacks with Pyro damage, and uses her charge attacks frequently, she benefits most from either the Crimson Witch or Retracing Bolide sets. Hu Tao's main and substat priorities for her artifacts are as follows. When Hu Tao is paired with Xingqiu, her ability to reliably execute reactions increases, which makes elemental mastery almost as important as crit damage, under certain situations. For talents, Hu Tao should prioritize her auto attack, followed by her skill, and then her burst. Now that we have reviewed the Pyro main DPSs, I will conclude which is the most powerful among them. Come on guys, it's clearly Xiangling! I will now demonstrate how one can use Pyro teams effectively against the new Spire Abyss. For my first team, I used Diluc, Xingqiu, Xiangling, and Venti, choosing to rely on Xingqiu's healing and Venti's crowd control to protect my team from damage. Xiangling provides much needed Pyro AoE against the Abyss Lectors, and Xingqiu deals with the Whopper Flowers, plus provides good Vaporize opportunities. Venti assists with crowd control and resistance shred. If healing or shielding is needed, Xiangling or Venti can be swapped with Bennett, Diona, or Zhongli. In my opinion, Klee or Yanfei have superior Pyro application to Diluc and are actually better options for breaking the Abyss Lecter shields. However, I do not have them leveled, so I'm using Diluc. I use Xingqiu to apply Hydro using his skill and burst before using Venti's burst to swirl Hydro and group enemies. Now that Venti is constantly applying Hydro with his burst, Xiangling's skill plus burst deals high AoE Pyro Vaporize damage. I then follow up with Diluc's attack rotation for even more Vaporize damage. The flowers have high Pyro resistance and will be very annoying to deal with, that is why I decided to focus them down first. So here I use Diluc's burst, which gives me immunity from the Geovishap's attack. Now that the Geovishap is dead, I only need to kill the Whopper Flowers, so I swirl Pyro with Venti's burst before using Hydro attacks with Xingqiu for high Vaporize damage. I decided to focus down the higher health treasure hoarders to ensure evenly distributed DPS. A second reason was that I didn't want to get hit by the shovel treasure hoarder, which would affect my recording quality. The high amount of Pyro damage dealt by Xiangling's burst and Venti swirling Pyro with his burst will remove the electro statuses given to the enemies by the electro pylon very quickly. I applied Hydro using Xingqiu's burst and skill, before following up with Venti's burst to swirl Hydro. Now that they are given the Hydro status and grouped up, it's free real estate for Xiangling and Diluc to vaporize. Now comes the hard part. To break the shields, I use a combination of Diluc, Xiangling, and Venti. My second team, I use Hu Tao, supported by Liyue, Zhongli, and Mona. I set up cryo statuses using Liyue and Mona, who are both built for support, before causing melt reactions with Hu Tao. Zhongli provides much needed AoE and protection. Use Liyue and Mona to apply cryo and freeze them. With the Whopper Flowers preparing to attack me, I use Zhongli's burst to petrify them and quickly turn the tide with Hu Tao afterwards. Here, most enemies have the Hydro status. I decided to freeze them using Liyue's burst, before using Hu Tao to attack them with Vaporized Melt. I decided to cast Liyue's burst again, which lasts for 15 seconds, so that freeze can be reapplied the very moment the next wave spawns. I used Hu Tao's burst even though my skill was not active, to end the fight as quickly as possible. Focus the Cryo-Scythian Mage, as Electro-Scythian Mages and Pyro Agents have high mobility, and they will be able to group up after a while. Now that they are grouped up, I petrified them using Zhongli's burst to lock them in place. I used Liyue and Mona for freeze, cryo application, and omen, before using Hu Tao's burst. Thank you everyone for your support. This concludes our Pyro DPS series, which still maintains its spot as one of the top tier builds in 1.5. We will cover Zhongli in the next 2 videos as we eagerly await Eula. Stay tuned for more. We are proud to represent the following Discord servers: the Liyue Teahouse and the Genshin Galaxy, where over 1,000 players who all love Genshin Impact are gathered. We would like to thank these servers for supporting us, so do check them out. Invite links are in the description below.